Hey, welcome to the Pleasure Points podcast. I'm your host, James Rohr. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the backyard. We did an outside episode tonight, and things got absolutely bonkers. So this episode's a little wild, a little different, not necessarily super cohesive. But if you want to see how we handle stressful situations, stay tuned. All right. Thank you so much for being here. You can follow me on TikTok at, what's my TikTok? At Rohr Wellness, ROHR Wellness. I should change it to the tongue guy, but I don't want to be pigeonholed as the tongue guy. But I do talk an awful lot about tongue diagnosis so far. But what if I want to talk about like ears, hands? All right, so maybe we'll change that. Oh, I can change it tomorrow, I think. It's been 30 days. Oh, jeez. What kind of poll is that? All right, so as you can tell, it's a weird one. So thanks, guys. Oh, they can't even hear you. I don't have your mic on.
Oh, too bad.
That sucks. I could hear you. Bummer. All right, here we are. Welcome to our backyard. We are full on sunset vibes over here. Jen, happy to have you back. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me to our backyard podcast episode.
Yeah, so
Feels very special.
Vanchovy is turned back into a work van. I was up taking care of my mom who had COVID, and so I was sleeping in the van. Raced back here just in time to get this episode recorded, and the van is converted into a bed, and it's super hot in there still. Do you guys love these temperature updates of the van every week? Probably not. So
Nobody
anyway,
cares about
we're
that.
outside. Apologies to the crickets and the cicadas and all the things for those noises, but maybe you're enjoying it. Maybe it gives you a taste of Midwest life. I know that when I was living in Miami, I certainly missed these kind of summer sounds.
Oh my gosh, I've never lived where there are cicadas or these sounds before, and I have to say I really love it. I find it to be so relaxing.
Yeah, super nice.
Did Wyatt tell you about what it sounds like when you play the crickets really slow, like you play it in slow motion?
No.
It sounds like angels singing.
Really?
Yeah, you can look it up on YouTube. It's so interesting.
Did you try it?
What?
Recording crickets and playing it in slow motion?
No, I didn't do it. I just watched it on YouTube, like all the other kids.
You're of that generation.
But it's like pretty amazing, actually. Like if you think about it, like they're all playing a different frequency. They're just going so fast. So what we hear is very different than maybe what the little creature is actually communicating, which
Interesting.
is like angelic vibes.
Well, those tuning forks that I use for some of the sound meditation and the healing stuff that we've done, it's called acutonics. And what they base that whole system on is the frequency of the planets, where they basically say, you know, they've measured the frequency of like Earth spinning in orbit for a 24-hour day. And they take whatever that, I don't even know how they do it, miles per hour, the frequency that comes from that. And then they use the octave system to bring it back into the octave of human hearing. So the forks that I use aren't necessarily, they're not like exact perfect notes. Mm-hmm. They have this connection to the planets, to the cosmos. So there's the green fork is the Earth fork, which is the Earth spinning in 24-hour day. And then the Ohm fork, which I think I find to be the most pleasing sound, is the Earth over a calendar year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
That's
so
awesome.
there's like the gold one is like the regular length one is like 1 octave, and then the bigger one, the longer one that's deeper is the same. It's the same note, it's the same frequency, just a lower octave.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's really nice. I mean, there's something about like when you're feeling really ungrounded. I believe that a lot of imbalance, a lot of pain and suffering, especially anxiety, is because on some level the spirit is having challenges being in a physical body here in Earth. Mm-hmm. And so using the Earth tuning fork is like a way to use sound and vibration to kind of soothe, to say, like when I was doing it a lot on clients, it's like, this is just like, it's okay. It's okay that you're here. It's okay that you've incarnated. Like, it's okay. I don't know. It sounds a little weird to say it, but you know, there's like a feeling that comes through, which is pretty awesome. And people that, when you use it, like they feel the soothing nature of it.
Right. Well, it's just like sound is soothing, right? It's like a mom that sings to her baby, or it gets used to hearing its mom's voice in the womb.
Right.
It's like that's vibration, it's sound, it's
Well, that's a cat purring too, right?
It's cat purring. Yeah, we already talked about that in another episode, so we'll not talk about that again. But I do think that, sound is the best. What? Why are you looking at me like that? For those of you that don't know Jim, sometimes he just makes faces and then like throws his arms in the air. Like, what does that mean?
What was that? It's like, we're not going to talk about it again, and sound is cool.
No, because I was going to talk about other things.
What
in
other
sound.
things are you thinking about right now? You've got like, I look at you and there's like, you look like a cartoon figure that has like 1,000 bubbles, like thought bubbles around your head. And
Yes.
like, they say all sorts of different things except thinking about what we're actually talking about right now.
Well, I'm a woman. We think a lot of thoughts in the day.
You're going to blame your gender?
Yep.
I'm not sure the women listeners are all going to agree with that.
I feel like men don't think as much as women. I don't know if that's statistically true, but I'm just going to take a blanket statement on that one.
You're just going to go there?
Men think less.
No. All right, then.
Less thoughts.
We may think less with our brain.
That's what I'm saying. Less thoughts due to other physiological factors. Whereas women, we don't have that. We can think of 3,000 things at the same time.
So why don't you reach up into the air and pluck out one of those thought bubbles and let's talk about it.
Well, before you threw your hands in the air, I was about to ask you a question that was one of the thought bubbles that I think perhaps the listeners would like to listen.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so my question is, the difference between sound bowls, for those of you guys that don't know about sound bowls, there's basically two kinds of sound bowls. There's crystal sound bowls that have specific notes, and then there's the Tibetan metal bowls for meditation. And those have different tonalities within one bowl. It has multiple different tones. So my question to you is about the tuning forks. You said that it doesn't really have a note, but is it like multiple tunes like the metal singing bowls? Or is it just like one tone?
As far as I know, it's one tone.
Okay.
It's just the tuning fork is tuned to that one frequency. But you could use them together. You could use you could use the fork that's like for the ohm fork for the year with the fork for the day if you wanted to, like the day fork has like more of a tonifying effect.
Okay.
Or you could use like the lower octave, or there's other planets too. There's Mars and Venus if you're trying to activate more yin or yang energy, or yang and yin energy. So there's lots of different combinations you can do. The person we should actually talk to about all this, ironically enough, is my mom, because she's done more training in the tuning forks than I have.
Nice.
It was really funny when I got trained in this stuff because I was working at Canyon Ranch, and it was a service that they wanted to offer. And so they sent me off to do training on it. And I came back for, I don't know, Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. And I brought my forks with me because my mom was like, oh, I'm interested. But she had got injured. Something happened. I don't remember what she did. She broke her arm or her wrist, or like something happened where I was doing the tuning forks on her. And in the middle of treatment, she like opens her eyes and is like, oh my gosh, I got this injury because I needed these forks. I need to do this. I need to learn how to use these tuning forks.
That's amazing.
And I just started cracking up because it was really funny. My mom's like, I just find her to be very funny. And so like over the next year and a half, she goes to more training. She did the training that I did, and then she did like 2 other ones. And so my collection of tuning forks is, I think I have like, I don't know, 8 forks or something. I think she's got like 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah.
And she was doing treatments. And so it was really funny. I'd be like in the office in between patients, and I'd check my phone, and there'd be a text message from my mom being like, so someone has this migraine. Like, I was thinking about using these points. Like, any other recommendations that you have?
That's awesome.
And it's like, it was so cute. It was so amazing. She was like full on doing energy healing on her friends with the tuning forks.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Midge, you're the coolest.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
What was funny to me about like taking care of her during COVID is that she, like a lot of people that enjoy working on other people, she gives very freely, but she has a very hard time receiving. And so I was like trying to tell her like just to stop doing things. But I woke up this morning at like 7 a.m. and she had already like rearranged the furniture, refilled the bird feeder, had all these lists of things that was gonna happen, and it's like, will you just rest, please?
Resting is
Just
hard.
just rest and receive. And so I was giving her acupuncture, and I noticed she did this thing. Other acupuncturists will know this move. There are some people who insist on being really kind, and they want to like be helpful all the time. They're just like, their drive is to be helpful. And so when you're going to put needles in or take the needles out, if the positioning of the hand or the leg or the foot is like a little bit awkward, the patient will oftentimes move. They'll adjust, thinking that they're making it easier for us. But for us, when you've worked on enough people long enough, it's not awkward. You know what you're doing, and like the positioning is how you want it. And if you don't want it that way, it's like the practitioner's responsibility to move the patient or to ask them to move and whatever. But my mom would do these, like, they're subtle, a millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter moves to just kind of like turn the hand a little bit, turn the leg a little bit, make it a little easier for me to put the point in. But what patients don't realize is that when they do that, they've now gone from being a stationary target to giving me a moving target. So it's a lesson, word of the wise, just lay there if you're getting acupuncture. If the acupuncture needs you to move, they'll tell you.
But it is hard to receive and just be chill sometimes.
Totally.
Like,
I mean, I'm not very good at it.
There's a lot of, it's easier said than done.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm a doer, so I know what that's like.
Really? You seem to receive pretty well.
It's true. I don't really move on the table at all, but it's different. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. The cat's here. Oh, my God. Okay, we're back. Holy cow.
Whew.
That was crazy. For
like
you guys, it was like a split second. For us, it's been an hour of high adrenaline, high intensity, feline mayhem in our backyard.
I definitely burned more calories in the last hour than I have in like a week.
So we have a cat. You guys know we talked about listening to her with a stethoscope, and she's outside. We let her roam outside, which is so cool. But I've never had an outside cat before, and it's like next level. And there's this asshole cat across the street, super territorial, just mean. And they've gotten into a few kind of scraps and whatever. She's basically like, what would you say, like laid on her back and like.
She's
submitted it. Yeah, that's what it
like
is.
she's definitely not an aggressor.
Yeah, so she's like submitted to
She's
this cat,
tiny.
and he
She's
just
like
doesn't
9
care.
pounds.
He's just like jumping all over her, and he bit her or scratched her. We're not sure, and she's had this like festering wound on her hind leg for a little while, and it started to heal. And so she was out here. He was out here earlier today, and we knew, like when we were out here, like we should probably be paying attention, but he snuck up. And then just like attacked her, and they ran across 2 neighbors' yards, and he chased her up a tree.
And then he went up the tree also.
Yeah, he went up the tree after her.
I'm glad that she had good instincts to like get to higher ground when running from something that's chasing you.
Yeah.
And also not another cat.
Holy cow. And so
But he's so fat he couldn't make it up the tree. And then he was panting. I was like, he was eating grass and stuff. I thought he was going to puke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did not look good.
Maybe he swallowed all of his venom.
I don't know. He was like, he did not look good, actually.
Yeah.
He couldn't walk back because he was like so out of breath.
Yeah.
He's clearly not used to sprinting as fast as Starlight does.
Yeah. She's like, she books it across the yard.
She's
and
very
so,
agile.
So she's probably 15 feet high in the tree. And I'm like, okay, I've heard about this. Cats know how to go up trees. They don't know how to go down. I was like, she's just going to hang on there. She was like, she had like all fours spread. Yeah, like a bat, like hugging the tree. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go run back and get the ladder. And I ran back to get the ladder. And by the time I came back, she was gone. She was no longer in the tree. But we weren't sure if she had climbed higher or lower, or like if she was hurt and like hiding somewhere. And so we've been calling her name and
trying to find the cat,
hunting her in the backyard. But the sun went down. It got a lot darker. Our flashlights, that would reflect the eyes. And then Jen finally saw her.
well, she was meowing at me.
Oh, she was?
I could hear her.
Oh, great.
She meowed like twice and then emerged from the forest.
Do you think if I was next to you, I would have heard her? Or do you think that she was meowing like in your mind? Like, do you think you have a telepathic connection with her?
No, I think I'm just like, I think the whole thing. Did we talk about this? About how cats have started to sound like, they think that over the years,
the
meows
yeah.
mimic the sounds of babies.
That's how they manipulate us.
That's how they manipulate us to do things for them. But that the cats have learned that over time, and the cats that are domesticated now are the ones that sound most like babies. So that like little meow is very like you can't miss it.
Got it.
Like, yeah, I heard her. She was like meow.
So
Like, she did it twice only, but I was like, oh, she's here somewhere close.
yeah,
And then she emerged from the forest.
and so in the time that we between like finding her and Jen able to actually catch her, she was like hunting grasshoppers. So fingers
She's fine.
crossed that she's totally fine.
Now she's inside eating dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, worst case, she got bit again, in which case we're going to have to go through that same process that we just went through.
Yeah.
The good news is our oil mix worked.
Yeah. Yeah. The oils have been great. We've been using like a distilled saline solution with what was in the oil blend. Do you remember?
Yeah, it's from anyone who is interested in natural pet solutions. Dr. Janet Rourke is amazing, and it's basically just her abscess formulation, which is also good for dogs or horses or any type of lesion. It's different what we do for animal wounds versus... That's the train. We live
my
one
God.
block away from a train, by the way, which I also find relaxing.
Do you?
I like the sound of the train.
Ever? That's amazing. It reminds me of my grandpa. My grandfather used to lay tracks for the railroad.
Really. So cool.
I also have wondered what the protocol is for train conductors and them like sounding the horn of the train, because there's times that the train comes and the horn sounds like once,
Right.
and then there's times where it sounds a whole bunch. And so I wonder, is it like, are there deer on the tracks? Are there cars on the tracks?
No.
Or is it just like an aggro train conductor? I'm curious what the protocol is.
I'm sure that they have a certain amount of honks they have to do per like city area or like per crossing.
Do you think
It's
they
like-
have like a
for sure.
honking quota they have to meet?
Yeah. Like once you go through like a certain section, you have to honk.
Yeah, but you would. I mean, we hear the same section all the time. You would think that there would be some consistency there, and there isn't. It's not every time that it's the same.
No, but like when you do it different, like one time you're like hoot hoot, and then one time you're like hoot hoot hoot, and then one time you're like hoot 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 hoot.
No, I would follow a standard protocol. Of
course you would.
I'd be very consistent.
I try to make a song. Anyway, I do want to share with everyone the blend that we use for injuries, because I do think it's important for anyone who is a holistic fur baby parent to know the combo. So aloe vera is the main aloe vera juice, which is important, not the gel. You can get that in the Whole Foods or whatever natural store in the beauty area. It has to be ingestible, so that's why it's juice, not like a bottle of juice, because there is aloe vera drink. You don't want to drink because that has sugar and a bunch of other garbage in it. Just pure aloe vera juice, nothing added. And then it's frankincense, helichrysum, myrrh, lavender, copaiba, and I think that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's worked great.
Yeah, I think the myrrh is really the one that does it.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she doesn't like the taste of it, so it keeps her also from like licking it when we spray, which is great.
Yeah, it works out. I hope we don't have to use it again, though.
Totally. You said something really funny when we were talking the other night. I was with my mom, and you were talking to the cat over the phone, and you were just like, "Listen, cat, like you have to behave. You can't keep licking this wound. Like I've been doctoring you, but if this happens again or you screwed up, like I'm done." And
You're
it
on your own.
totally reminded me of like growing up, because my mom would just be like, "I've been tending to you, and now this has to be over." She even told me during this COVID connection time that we've had that that in her mind, she was like, anytime any of you kids growing up were sick, I would give you guys, in my mind, 3 days. You had 3 days where I would like take off work, or I'd be patient, or I'd take you to the doctor, and then after the 3 days, you were kind of on your own. You had to figure it out because I was done.
Yeah. 3 days.
I like that you're just like, yeah, like that totally is like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. I'd be over it too.
I don't even know.
You wouldn't even make it 3 days. You were done after like a day.
I don't even know if I got sick more than a day when I was a kid. So my
Yeah.
mom was like stuffing echinacea root and like golden seed flour and like all sorts of weird like herbs and amazing. Now I'm like, wow, my mom is amazing. She really like, putting vitamins down my throat, making sure I'm eating, different vegetables and things. And she's like, this is good for immune support. Grinding up flowers in the backyard, making me teas and stuff.
Yeah, what's funny about that is that between our two upbringings, it was actually your house that the Child Protective Services got called to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It turns out I don't like to leave a party. And the best party, obviously, is when your parents are hanging out past 9 p.m. Every kid knows that. Like, anything cool that happens at, 9:05. And you don't want to miss out on that. Exactly after your bedtime. Yeah, so I did not like being put to bed and being time out.
How old were you?
I don't even remember.
14?
I must have been like 4 or something.
Yeah.
3 or 4. But timeouts and like being put to bed by myself was like bloody murder. I only remember one time being really upset, but that one time was not great.
And so the neighbors called CPS, and they came to your parents' door?
Yep. Yep.
That's amazing.
Well, I don't know if they ever actually came. I think they called or the
they
neighbor
called.
said something, or I don't know the
Yeah.
exact story. We'd have to ask them. But yeah, it's a great reminder to just know that you never know what somebody else is dealing with. Like, those people thought they probably, can you imagine the story that they made up? They probably thought that I was like black and blue, and then my parents are like the worst parents, and they were like beating me and abusing me and like all sorts of crazy things.
All your parents are like so sweet. They're like the nicest people.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they probably took away my Little Mermaid doll and told me to go in my room.
And
That
you had
was
to
like,
drink like elderberry soup. or
yeah.
tea
And I
or
was like,
whatever.
I hate you forever. This is torture. I probably would have rather been beaten or something, because it was like the being cut off from the people, that was my ultimate punishment.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that we're just like hardwired to be connected.
Yeah.
It used to be way back when that like excommunication from the tribe was a punishment worse than death.
Totally.
Like to just send you off and to be alone.
Yeah.
And you got to experience that every night at 9 p.m.
Yeah. I
Go,
only remember,
child, to your bedroom.
I only remember one time that happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like a reoccurring thing. But
Probably not. You probably were just like, let me just do this and see what happens.
yeah, totally. You got to push back to know what the boundaries are, But I don't think that it's necessarily wrong to have, your kids learn how to be on their own. But
Yeah, no, it's super important, obviously.
yeah,
But
It's just
you can
funny
let them
how
know that
kids,
they're
like-
on their own while also still being part of the tribe.
right. Well, bedtime. It's not negotiable. Funny. Well, you guys want to have a little sound relaxation meditation here to end the podcast? I do. Can you hear the frogs? I think it's so cool that we have so many weird animals in our backyard.
And by weird, you mean like crickets and cicadas and frogs?
That's all weird to me.
That's so weird to me that's weird to you.
In Colorado, I grew up with bull snakes, and like we'd catch bull snakes, and we'd have like, occasional robin.
How do snakes communicate with each other? Do they make noise? Snakes
No,
don't make noise,
They
do
don't
they?
make noise. They
I mean,
have,
besides the rattle, like for the rattlesnake.
I don't know how they communicate. I think that I know that they have infrared sensing, which is how they can like stalk their prey and stuff. It's all heat sensing.
Do they feel the vibrations too?
And I think they might feel the vibrations, but I'm not sure about that actually. Yeah. They're cool though. They probably sound. They probably feel sound vibrations.
Okay. We're clearly a little frazzled. Let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
The adrenaline of the cat fight.
Next time on the podcast, let us know if you're interested. I do want to talk more about sound, because we started going to sound meditations in New York, and we learned some really cool things from an amazing, amazing sound professor, Alessandro. And it was really cool what we learned. So maybe on a further episode, we'll talk a little bit more about sound healing and different tonalities and how that affects the body system.
On an upcoming TED Talk on the Pleasure Points podcast. Stay tuned.
No, we'll just, talk like we always do.
Well, we both kind of talk like we're giving TED Talks.
We do?
Sometimes.
We talked all about our cat tonight. That's a horrible TED Talk.
Yeah, tonight was a terrible TED Talk, that's for sure. But if you made it this far, we love you. Thanks
Yes.
for listening.
Thanks for being here.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll catch you next time.